You aren't capable of pulling the trigger. Because deep inside, you still want me, Elena. You still want me.
Nakumbuka sele dada alisema he's a jack of all trades. Yes. So mi sikumget, so nilimvako kama any lawyer. A lawyer!
Good evening and welcome to Channel 1 Weekend. Here is some of what we have prepared for you this evening. Political swings. Raila Odinga accused of personalizing attacks on the Deputy President, even as he maintains his resolve to institute electoral reforms, is steadfast. Name and shame. Political leaders challenging the government to reveal culprits behind the counterfeit trade that is threatening the existence of local industries. The Narok County government on the spot for allegedly failing to tame wanton destruction of the Masai Mau complex. Now, Lucy Mwara and I will be taking you through the news of the day and would like to invite you to communicate with us and share with us your views and reviews on the news, as I like to put it. The SMS line is at the top corner of your screen right now, 22162. Let us know what you think, starting with the word NewsHour. For those of you who are digitally inclined, you could use our Twitter handle, which is at KBC Channel 1. My personal Twitter handle is at Muyakane. And once again, we'll be happy to sample your feedback live on air in the course of this bulletin. With that out of the way, shall we begin? A section of Jubilee leaders have accused ODM leader Raila Odinga of personalizing attacks on the Deputy President, William Ruto, even after, of course, the famous handshake between him and the President, Uhuru Kenyatta. In an apparent reference to Odinga's remarks warning against early 2022 campaigns, the MPs who had accompanied the Deputy President to a church service in Kiambu County lashed out at Raila, accusing him of scheming to scuttle the unity in Jubilee.
The Deputy President was in Thika, Kiambu County, for the inauguration of two churches, Thika PCA Church and the St. Benedict Catholic Church. Accompanied by a number of MPs and other political leaders from the Mount Kenya region, the Deputy President called on Kenyans to support the unity drive by President Uhuru Kenyatta, saying it would steer development in the country.
Kama Jubilee, na rais, mambo yetu mawili, tuunganishe Wakenya wote na tusukume mambo ya maendeleo kupitia ajenda ya Jubilee na Big Four mbele.
As the President's principal assistant, Ruto would pledge to firmly support the President in the delivery of the Big Four agenda. But it was this remarks by ODM leader Raila Odinga warning against early campaigns that appeared to have irked his allies.
Wacha mambo ya kurandaranda, kurukaruka, kutangatanga. Ati wewe unamwambia sisi ati mimi nitakuwa rais mwaka 2022. Hiyo wakati yake itafika.
The Jubilee leaders accused Odinga of being insincere in the drive for unity by attacking the deputy president. They charged that Raila is plotting to scatter the unity in Jubilee by narrowing his attacks on Ruto.
Akikwambia uende Mombasa, ujue anataka uende Mtugani. Sisi hatuwezi muamini ila ambaye tunamjua zaidi. Huyo mtu ajenda yake ni tofauti, anataka kutusambaratisha ndio apate mwanya ya kuingilia.
Kwa sababu hiyo kutangatanga inaleta mazao. Wananchi tunasema Deputy President aendelee kutangatanga ama atulie leo.
Najua chama cha NASA kimesambaratika na kimesambaratika kwa kukosa heshima na uadilifu mwema. Yeye kisirani walikuwa naye kwa nyumba yake, asituletee kwa Jubilee.
Raila Odinga might be panicking because he is not genuine, he is not sincere, he is not honest. He has thrived on divisive politics.
And despite the deputy president steering clear of the matter and the 2022 succession politics, the leaders pledged support for his presidential ambitions.
Na Biblia inasema tukiomba tutapata. Deputy President, tuendelee kuomba, 2022 tutapata.
Wakati tulikuwa tunakuhitaji, ulishikana na sisi. Tutasahau kweli? Tutasahau kweli?
Na sisi mbele kwa mimi tumeungana, tumesikana kwa pamoja mpaka tujeni na dua yetu moja ya 2022 ni William Samoei Ruto.
John Jacob Kuria, Channel 1 News.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga says that his resolve to bring electoral reforms into the country is steadfast and will not be swayed by any force. Raila says that if the 14-member Building Bridges Committee recommends a referendum, he will be ready to spearhead the move. The opposition leader, who is in Mombasa, warned politicians against engaging in 2022 election campaigns, saying the nation needs a lot of fixing before thinking of the next general elections. Juni Karisa with more.
ODM party leader Raila Odinga joined hundreds of Muslim faithful in Mombasa County to commemorate the annual Eid Baraza, an annual event that brings together Islamic preachers, leaders and its faithful to take stock of the Ramadan period. Accompanied by his host and deputy party leader Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho, as well as local leaders, Odinga lauded the community for observing peace and charitable deeds as is the norm. Raila using the event to state his position on electoral reforms, saying Kenya needs to restore unity and peace amongst the political class, advocating for electoral reforms as well as push for reforms in the governance structure.
Tunataka kubadilisha mambo ya uchaguzi ili mtu yoyote awe kabila ndogo zaidi kama Elmolo awe Muislamu anaweza kusimama na chaguliwe kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Si ati wewe unataka kwa kabila kubwa, ati wewe peke yako, ati big five.
Na sisi kwa muda mrefu tumewapatia wenzetu, tumewasaidia. It is our time. You scratch my back, I scratch your back.
The opposition chief says he will abide by any proposal that will be made by the 14-member advisory committee on the Building Bridges initiative, vowing to implement them to the letter regardless of the political storm it may brew.
Wakisema pande hii ya katiba ipige msasa, tutapiga msasa. Mwingine apende asipende. Kwa hivyo mtu asianze kutisha wa Kenya ati hatutaki referendum, hatutaki nini. Nani amekwambia mambo ya referendum? Wakati ikifika kama hii tume itasema hii ndio njia ya kusuluhisha shida hizi ambayo ina duru Kenya, wewe ni nani kutukataza?
He warned politicians already positioning themselves for the 2022 politics, urging them to focus their energy in restoring the economy of the country.
Tumetoka uchaguzi jana. Sisi nasema bado tuko na muda ya mrefu ya zaidi ya kuleta marekebisho. mambo ya campaign wakati yake itafika. Wakati ikifika, wanaume watajibwaga uwanjani na watapimwa, wataweka kwenye mizani. Tutapima hao tujue nani ametosha, ama sivyo? Lakini wakati huu wacha kurandaranda hapa na pale, kutangatanga ati wewe unasema mimi ndiye nitakuwa rais mwaka 2022. Unajuaje? Si Wakenya ndio watachagua rais yao? Alafu unabwaga pesa hapa na kubwaga pesa hapa, mshahara yako tunajua.
Na mimi naambia time itafika, hata mimi siku hiyo nitatia watu vumbi ambayo hawajaona inshallah. Wachajua cha mtema kuni. But for now tumepewa majukumu ya kufanyia watu kazi. Sivyo? Msilidharau ili jimbo nyinyi. Kama ni wale wa zamani ni zamani, sasa hii ni watu tofauti. Sisi ni watu tofauti, my friend.
Mombasa leaders present at the event took issues with the recent appointment by the government, saying the region was given a road deal.
Mbona Coast Development Authority mkubwa si wetu? What is wrong with us? Where did we go wrong? Ni nani alituroga ikawa hatuwezi kuchukua mamlaka hayo?
Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta has promised me that we shall have a meeting soon. Na sisi tumetengeza hiyo agenda yote hiyo ya kwenda kumwambia tunataka tuone watu wetu wamepewa kazi. Tunataka tuone rasilimali inasaidia wakazi ambao wanatoka pale wanapotoka. Na mengineyo mengi ya kimaendeleo. And we need to move away kutoka mazungumzo ambayo ukifanyiwa maendeleo unaona kama umefanyiwa favor. We have to go and demand what is rightfully ours.
Juni Karisa for Channel 1 News from Mombasa County.
Now, political leaders are now challenging the government to publish names of those behind the counterfeit trade that has ruined the local industries. The leaders say that there should be an expeditious probe into the contraband trade to help avert a looming health crisis. The leaders spoke amid fears that millions of Kenyans may have consumed contaminated sugar laced with harmful substances illegally imported into the country.
Kirinyaga woman representative Purity Ngirishi wants the government to clear the air over those behind the importation of illegal sugar. Ngirishi, whose brother is among people said to be under investigation over the scandal, said no one was above the law.
Come and say I arrested so and so, even if it's Purity Wango Ngirishi, even if it's a member of parliament. Come and name the person so that we can name and shame, so that we can stop this menace of contraband goods, and we can also stop this menace of having people selling contaminated goods and even having people who have counterfeits.
Recent raids on storage facilities in Kitui, Kiambu and Webuye uncovered thousands of bags of sugar suspected to be laced with poison ready for market. Lugari MP Ayub Savula calling on the government to expedite the probe into how cartels succeeded in importing contaminated sugar into the country.
We'll also, as a transport committee, summon the owner of West Kenya Sugar Company to tell us how the sugar went through the port, where there is Kenya Bureau of Standards that is supposed to ascertain the quality of any food substance that is coming to Kenya, whether is quality for consumable in the local market.
Savula argued that time was ticking as more Kenyans risk purchasing the contraband sugar.
We are demanding, MPs from Kakamega County, we are demanding Kenya Sugar Directorate under AFA to immediately suspend the milling license of West Kenya Sugar Company because of illegal sugar importation.
The government has in the last few days intensified the crackdown on the illegal sugar trade, confiscating hundreds of bags in Nairobi, Kitui and Webuye.
President Uhuru Kenyatta Sunday held talks with his Zambian counterpart Edgar Lungu, who paid him a courtesy call at State House, Nairobi. The talks focused on enhancing bilateral ties and increasing cooperation in various sectors, including tourism, transport, trade, investment, airlink and regional security. President Lungu has been in Kenya on a private visit and toured the Ronald Ngala Utalii College in Kilifi to appraise himself with the development of the tourism sector in Kenya. Zambia and Kenya have had cordial relations spanning several years.
Thank you. Welcome once again, brother. Asante sana. Karibu sana. Ndugu wangu. Najua Kiswahili. Kiswahili. Naona.
The Kenya Secondary School Head Teachers Association is calling for speedy and impartial investigations of sexual harassment cases reported at the Moi Girls High School and others a fortnight ago. Speaking ahead of the 43rd annual conference in Mombasa, the association chairperson Alfred Kahi cautioned against blanket condemnation of the school's leadership before investigations are concluded. The secondary school heads are in Mombasa for their annual general meeting.
The 43rd edition of Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association Annual Delegates Conference will kick off Monday in Mombasa, with security of students in schools being among key agenda in the conference. Cases of students being harassed, attacked and even raped have been reported in various institutions, the most recent being Moi Girls Secondary School in Nairobi. Speaking in Mombasa ahead of the meeting, Association Chairperson Alfred Kahi cautioned against bracket condemnation of schools' leadership.
But we want to condemn that. And as we condemn, we want to ask for proper investigations so that we do not condemn all teachers, we do not condemn all heads of institutions, because one person out of the 8,000, of course, can dent the profession. But after investigation, he should be dealt with as an individual. This will provide a very good platform for the heads of Kenya to discuss and give their views on how they would want issues of security in our institutions handled. That is why the theme of this year is redirecting the education sector in Kenya.
The conference will also be looking into the funding of schools, especially now the government is planning to cover all secondary school students and the National Hospital Insurance Fund. The 8,000 principals heading secondary schools will also vote on new leadership of the association. Other contentious topics expected to be discussed include the localization of teachers, which the government is implementing.
And we will be ready to hear from the employer. We have seen unions say this was not part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Deputy President William Ruto is expected to officially open the conference on Tuesday. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
In other news, the Kenyan and Chinese governments are optimistic that the ongoing infrastructural cooperation between Nairobi and Beijing will fast-track economic growth in the country. Transport CS James Macharia and the visiting Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference chairman Wang Yang said that the technological transfer from China is already revolutionizing the development in the country, even as they maintained that the standard gauge railway has been a game changer in the transport industry of this country. Eric Biegon with more.
After a successful tour of the China-Africa Research Center in its first day in the country Saturday, the high-powered delegation from Beijing led by Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference Chairman Wang Yang made its way to the standard gauge railway Sunday morning. Alongside the Kenyan government team led by Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia, they were here to assess progress of the China-Kenya infrastructural landmark. At the Shokimau station, Wang interacted with officials of Kenya Railways drawn from Kenya and China. He even sought to understand the employees' perspective of the working conditions at the SGR.
Are you satisfied with the pay here? Salary?
At this control room, Wang inspected the functioning of the center. From here, he took a train to the river, where aboard the Madaraka Express, he interacted with the crew. It is after this excursion that Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia gave the Chinese-sponsored project a clean bill of health.
The operation is very safe. It is of the highest standard possible. We have Kenyans being trained, not just to drive the train, but in terms of mechanics. And so that transfer of technology for us is what will make this a major success in the future.
In Macharia's view, the SGR has performed exceptionally since its launch.
They are very happy because, like the cargo train, we started the train only in January this year. And as of now, we have 6 trains going either way. So in total, 12 trains on the track. That is unprecedented. If you look at what has happened in the other countries surrounding us, they are operating like one train. And so this is a major statement we are making, that this project is viable. We are adding a train every month. And so by December, the plan is to have 12 trains.
The Transport Cabinet Secretary disclosed that more projects to be developed in conjunction with the Chinese government are in the pipeline and will be the subject of discussion when Wang and his team hold a meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta later in the week.
And he has come with a very high delegation. We have the chairperson of the China Exim Bank, which is the one which is financing this project. We have the holding company chairperson of the contractor. And so at that level, we shall be able to engage them to see what kind of commitments for the future we can engage in.
The CPPCC chair is in the country to advance cooperation between Kenya and China, especially by ensuring that joint projects are well developed and impact the growth of Kenya's economy. Wang is expected to hold a meeting with his host, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, on Monday. Eric Biegon reporting for Channel 1 News.
Now, the Kenya Forest Service claims that Narok County government has failed to tame the wanton destruction of the Masai Mau complex. The KFS now says it will be forced to recommend that the forest be handed back to the national government for protection. According to the Kenya Forest Service management, over 12,000 hectares of the land in the forest has been encroached by the public, and illegal logging is ongoing at unimaginable proportions, despite a 6-month ban imposed in March of this year.
This is Masai Mau Forest, which forms the southern part of Mau Forest Complex, Kenya's largest closed canopy forest area. It is a trustland indigenous forest managed formerly by the Council of Narok, now Narok County, covering 46,000 hectares. The once green lush is now a pale shadow of itself, courtesy of the destruction going on, despite the government's zeal to protect the country's forests.
This is a natural forest, but you can see it is being depleted completely of cedar. So destruction is coming in from both sides, and the fear is that they'll come into the center. This this Mau ecosystem is about 159,000 square hectares, so it is a big area, but there's more and more pressure.
So destruction has been going on for some time, and as a service we are worried. So if we don't come in and stop this destruction, then it is going to erode the gains we have made in increasing our forest cover. And if that is done, then the 4 government priority agenda are not going to be realized.
Flock of sheep and herd of cattle is what greets you as you make your way towards forest land along the Ewasonyo River. The owners herding them sitting and watching as if nothing is wrong. There is a massive destruction within the forest where at least 300 acres of land was recently cleared to make way for farming.
The destruction you're seeing is coming from people who have settled close by. And even in the area they're settled, it is actually forest land. There is a river, and on this side of the river you're finding more trees, but actually even that side is forest. But for now we are concentrating on the forest that remains, and also getting people outside a certain area.
We are moving in mass. We are going to mount this interagency operation. Kenya Forest Service is going to send in more than 100 rangers. We are also getting support from the county government. We are getting support from Kenya Wildlife Services. We are getting support from GSU and the police and all that. This destruction must stop.
The destruction of rare indigenous cedar tree is evident, and loggers seem to care less.
If you look around this area, I mean, there's a lot of wood you see all over the place, but it's about 5 trees, but you can see the canopy has opened up completely. Logging that has stopped, but now the biggest problem is cedar. My request is that we ban cedar totally. I've been talking about it now for a year and a half. I believe that if we ban cedar, we will also, it will cut down the costs, because it is cedar that is the biggest problem in all our indigenous forests.
A visit by KFS chairperson Peter Kinyua and its acting director Margaret Kalenda admitted that over 200 households have encroached into the land and clearing the forest for farming.
I think there are people coming in. I just don't want to get into that politics, but the people who traditionally lived around here in this forest were hunter-gatherers. You're seeing more and more people who are coming in and commercializing it and trying to turn the forest into farmland. There are people from outside, I believe. There are people also from the neighboring place. I think that is not our mandate.
According to KFS, charcoal burning is also rampant in the forest. Huge caravans of donkeys leave the forest every day with poles and timber from cedar tree. Illegal logging has been ongoing in this expansive complex since March this year, with residents teeming with loggers. An eviction on those who have encroached on the land is expected to kick off Monday, with KFS warning that there will be no negotiations on the matter. These are some of the scenes that characterize part of Masai Mau wanton destruction that is currently ongoing. It is estimated approximately 200 households are living in this forest, and they are perpetrating this particular destruction. Reporting for KBC Channel 1 from Masai Mau Forest, I'm Linus Moshigadi.
Now, every third Sunday of June every year is celebrated as Father's Day. In Kenya, just like in many other countries around the world, the day was marked amid calls for more acknowledgement of the roles played by fathers in shaping society. Take a look. Father's Day is marked to honor and celebrate fatherhood, paternal bonds, and the influence of fathers in society. In Kenya, it was celebrated in different ways. For many, the exchange of hilarious memes and Father's Day images forwarded on social media was as far as the day went. However, despite it being an internationally acknowledged day, the general feeling was that there is little or no appreciation for the day.
Father's Day, naona haijawekwa sana kwa sababu most of the families zingine they broke out, zilivunjika. Na venye zilivunjika, saa zingine unaona watu wengi, hata wale wanafanya kazi kubwa kubwa, wale wana lead corporations kubwa kubwa, wamelewa na single mothers. So Mother's Day imekuwa so much, watu wanakuwa na attention kubwa na Mother's Day kuliko Father's Day.
Siku hizi sioni kama kuna sherehe mzuri sana, ni kama iko chini sana. Naona ni kama iko chini, watu hawajawekelea maanani sana. Ingawa leo nilikuwa natakana kuwa na family, lakini wako mbali, wako Kitale. Ndio nimeona nikuje kujumuika tu hapa peke yangu nikiwafikiria. Na tangu asubuhi tumewasiliana kwa simu, nimewaambia juu ya hii siku ili tuonyeshe kwamba tuko pamoja ingawa niko mbali. That we are spiritually together for them far. Kama mimi ningekuwa nyumbani, ningekuwa sapa ni mimi ndio ningepika, kuonyesha kwamba kweli mimi pia naweza kusaidia katika familia. Ingawa wanaume wengi wanaogopa majukumu kama hayo, kwenda jikoni wanaona ni kazi ya mwanamke, lakini kwangu naona hata siku kama leo ningekuwa nyumbani, ningewatengenezea chakula nzuri sana.
Ukikosa kitu chochote katika kwa mkono yako ya kulea watoto wako,
financially inakuwa ni challenge ngumu sana, na haswa kwa kizazi ya saa hii. Usipochukua jukumu na ukue mwerevu na makini, unaweza pata ya kwamba familia inaweza kushinda hata kulea. Unaweza lea kupata watoto wawe ni wengi, labda hukupanga uzazi, watoto wakuwe ni wengi wakushinde kulea.
Kina baba saizi ambazo wanatutazama, wale ambao wako kwa manyumba, wako saizi hapa, wako katika shughuli zao, mimi naweza tu kuambia congratulations kwa kazi ambazo wanafanya. Although wanapitia changamoto, but they come, wanakuwa wamechanganyikiwa, but now we are there for them. Yeah, hata kama tuko na kitu mbaya, we are there for them. Yes.
Being a Sunday, some churches grabbed the opportunities to deliver sermons extolling the virtues of a father, especially as a role model in the family setup. At the Eldoret Africa Inland Church, Pastor Kilimo Ruto called on fathers to instill integrity and a respect for honest gains.
Naume wote wako katika Kenya hii ambaye yeye ni baba, anaweza kuwa ni baba mzazi ama ni baba msimamizi. Nataka nikutakie siku ya kina baba nzuri sana, na nataka nikuambie kwamba kuwa baba si jina tu, lakini ni kwa sababu wewe umesimama na mtoto fulani. Vijana katika Kenya hii wako na shida kubwa sana, maana wengi wao wamelelewa bila kuwa na baba, na baba wao wako wanaweza kuwa wameachana na hiyo wajibikaji ya kukuwa baba, ama wengine wanaweza kuwa ni baba lakini lile jina baba likitajwa watoto wako na uoga, kwa sababu wewe si baba ambaye anaonyesha upendo.
All the fathers are happy Father's Day. My father has been there for me since I was a small girl. He has been there for me. He taught me how to walk, he taught me how to talk, he taught me how to do everything I know here. So I'd like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day, including my father. He's the best father I've ever had here. And his birthday, I would like to give him a very happy present. And I would like him to work hard and be successful.
Happy Father's Day, indeed. Now, cases of passengers being pushed off speeding public service vehicles, as well as those being hit by vehicles which later speed off, are increasing by the day in Nairobi. One such case involves a single mother and an orphan who was hit by a bus which later sped off, leaving her for the dead. Karen Mwala is now admitted at the Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi, where her medical bill is rising by the day.
27-year-old Karen Mwala, who is 5 months pregnant, had been staying as a destitute in the streets until a good Samaritan, Corinne Somba, came to her rescue.
When we listened to her story, despite it being Nairobi, I felt touched, and I told my friend that I would take her home. But then she said, but you better talk to somebody before. So I called a colleague who is a coordinator in the church, who came. We asked her for her ID. Unfortunately, she couldn't produce her ID, but she produced a passport. So my coordinator took the photo of the passport and then told me, now you can go with her. If anything, I have the contacts.
However, days later, on the 24th of May 2018, Karen, who had been advised by her new family to process her national identity card, was involved in a hit-and-run accident on the zebra crossing at Westlands roundabout, Nairobi.
She was totally bleeding from the ears, nose, mouth, and the mouth, nose, and ears. And we managed to get a mat, saloon car owned by a Muindi person. So she helped us to pick up and took her to the hospital.
Karen had sustained serious body injuries and was admitted at the intensive care unit. After 5 days, she was transferred to the high dependency unit and later on to the surgical ward where she is recuperating. Karen's bill at the facility is now 1.2 million shillings. Well-wishers have managed to raise 50,000 shillings and her adopted family is appealing for help to offset the bill.
So I'm appealing to the officer in charge, Gigiri, so that he can follow up the case and also help us in terms of pushing and justice be done to Karen. Yeah.
And even now she was seeking to go out and work so she can help her siblings, who are 2 sisters and a younger brother who just finished 4th form. That is Karen's story. It is sad, and we seek that Karen can be able to come out of hospital so that she can continue with her life.
Contributions can be channeled to M-Pesa paybill number Aga Khan 694040, account number AK 2032984, Karen Mwala. Haligan Agade for Channel 1 News.
Now, the government has commenced plans to relocate internally displaced persons living in makeshift camps in El Dume, Baringo County. The IDPs fled their homes in Mukutani 2 years ago when the armed cattle rustlers attacked the neighboring Ilchamus community, killing 20 people.
Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, who donated over 4,000 iron sheets to the internally displaced persons, said the relocation process has started and directed relevant agencies to ensure the exercise is successful. Wamalwa also wants police officers to continue investigating the incident until the culprits are apprehended.
Na timu yetu ya Red Cross, timu yetu ya NDMA iko hapa, watafanya kazi nanyi kuhakikisha munasaidiwa kutoka kwa hii kambi, kutoka kwa mahema na kurudi kule Makutani muweze kujenga nyumba zenu.
And a major humanitarian crisis has hit Kipini West Ward in Tana Delta sub-county after the area was completely cut off by floods. Over 5,000 people are said to be internally displaced with no access to food and public services from the larger Tana River County.
Saa hii mashamba yetu yalikuwa ni hapa. Saa hii kwa maji. Tumeathirika sana. Hatujaona serikali yote hapa wametuhudumia. Hasa serikali za kaunti hatujaiona. Hospitali yetu iko hapa. Daktari hatuna, madawa hakuna.
Meanwhile, the National Environment Management Authority is warning that solid waste management in most towns in the country is the largest challenge to environment. NEMA Complaints Committee Chair John Chumo says if unchecked, poor management of solid waste will not only lead to health hazards but will become completely unmanageable in 15 years.
Serious environmental problems, and we are going to have a lot of what I would call slums. And when we have slums, it means therefore we are going to cause disasters.
In Mombasa, residents of Bombolulu Ziwa Lang'ombe settlement scheme held demonstrations to protest the grabbing of their 7 hectares parcel of land. The residents claim a private developer, who is a former mayor of Mombasa, wants to put up commercial premises. They are appealing to the government to intervene and issue them with the title deeds.
Baada ya kutoa ilani hii, wanadai tusipobomoa sisi, wakibomoa wao tuwalipe wao. Jambo la kusikitisha sana. Washindwe! Washindwe! Sisi wakazi wa Kisimani Ziwa Lang'ombe ni walala hoi, na tunasema sisi hatuondoki kamwe hapa Ziwa Lang'ombe. Mwendo wangu nimeumaliza.
Finally, the judiciary is being urged to be lenient when convicting suspects who are pregnant or who have young children. Josephine Mutuku, the officer in charge of Malindi Women Prison, says inmates are struggling to reintegrate into society once they complete their jail terms. Currently, the facility houses 9 convicts with their children, the youngest being 3 months old. She was speaking during a grooming day at the prison sponsored by a beauty college, all based in Malindi town.
The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Imagine all the possibilities of the Mombasa-Nairobi highway or phase 1 of the SGR were straight line routes. The Mombasa-Nairobi highway twists and turns with its many corners, goes downhill and ascends steep slopes. In contrast, the SGR runs on an almost straight line. So, back to my point. Comparing road and rail speeds and capacity between Mombasa and Nairobi, it is fairly obvious that the Madaraka Express freight service shall change the game.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 1 Sport. Gor Mahia opened a 6-point gap in the Kenyan Premier League log. This is after thrashing Nzoia Sugar goals nil at the Moi Stadium in Kisumu. Meanwhile, Sofapaka moved up to the second place on the log with 34 points after hammering Thika United 3-0.
Sofapaka opened the scoring through Piston Mutamba before adding a second goal through Kevin Kimani.
Mguso wa kwanza Umar kamwandalia pass Piston ambao ukauchukua kaoneshana ukakamavu.
Anamwangalia Emasi upande gani? Kimani. Wanapachika bao la pili kupitia mikwaju ya penalty uliotiwa kimiani na Anton Kimani.
Alipiga na nguvu kweli.
Eli Asieche scored the third to lift Sofapaka to the second position on the log.
Pale Kimani kwenda kule bado kana hatari kule. Asieche.
Meanwhile, Gor Mahia opened up a 6-point gap at the Kenyan Premier League table after thrashing Nzoia Sugar by 3-0. Elsewhere, Ebrima Sane scored a solitary goal that helped Kariobangi Sharks beat Posta Rangers 1-0. Sharks, under the tutelage of William Muluya, have so far won 7 games, drew in 9 and lost in 3 games in 19 league matches. They will next be in action on Wednesday when they take on Kakamega Homeboys. In other results, Cornelius Juma registered a brace as Nakumatt FC hammered Kakamega Homeboys by 6-1. Tusker settled for a 1-1 draw with Wazito FC, while Ulinzi played to a